Welcome, everybody. I don't care what the groundhog said. I don't want 6 more weeks of winter. I am ready, as I think Jason is. You're in Denver, right?
I am. It's currently 4 degrees here and just finished snowing.
And
So,
snowing. Yeah, to hell with Punxsutawney Phil. That is not what the world wants, okay? What we want is spring. We're ready for it. I don't know about you, but I feel like when the new year kicks off, everyone is just hyper focused on, sales and getting their processes organized. Budgets get all set up, and I think what you're doing at Sentient is a really kind of it's a cool use of technology at the top end of the sales funnel. And I'm talking about the AI powered chatbots. I know there's a group of people that probably just hate all things technology. I get that. They don't like interacting with this kind of stuff. So I think they're in the very, very small minority. I guess my first question, though, really for you, Jason, is: are you a skier or a snowboarder?
I'm a skier. We have a family of skiers, one snowboarder. So, I learned how to ski in Vermont, and I took snowboarding lessons in Vermont. I don't know if you've ever skied in Vermont. It's like skiing on an ice skating rink and snowboarding and learning how to snowboard there and fall on ice. I quickly went back to skiing.
Transition to skiing.
Yeah, it was,
The
so
the falls and
skiing's been awesome.
skiing it's definitely is a different feeling. No, I learned how to snowboard right off the bat. I went to Jackson Hole. We didn't know what we're getting into. I mean, the world's most difficult and challenging terrain, and we just show up and slap on the snowboard, and we figured it out. But yeah, you're going to hit your butt and you hit your heel. You're putting your arms out to prevent that fall.
Yeah.
It takes a
It,
toll on you on the ice. Yeah. So how does a guy from Denver get into this technology space? I mean, what's the reason that
yeah,
you've picked this hill to climb?
exactly. Yeah, great. So I did. Yeah, I actually grew up on the East Coast. So I grew up in Connecticut, and around that time, after graduating college, I went into the financial industry and was a trader at a bank. And then was after a couple of years of doing that, ended up being more of a research analyst at a small investment firm in Australia. And then when I came back to the United States, I was much more interested in technology. We were doing more on the tech side when it came to, we were seeing tech move into trading when I was doing it. And then we saw a lot of tech assisting in the investment process. And so I actually like technology more than just the straight crunching numbers, looking at building spreadsheets, things like that. So pivoted over into tech, spent about 20 years in tech. About 10 was at a large company, and then the other 10 were at startups. And the startups were really focused in the AI machine learning space. So I got interested in AI machine learning probably about 2011. Got into my first startup around 2014, and from there, worked in sales roles at different startups in data, AI, machine learning, databases. So got to know all of the different things that were going on and kind of what the capabilities were. And as I was doing sales, though, I saw a reoccurring problem. And that reoccurring problem at small companies is you don't have enough people to respond immediately to inbound leads. Your marketing team does an amazing job and actually generates inbound leads. So people go to your website, fill out a contact form, and then they wait to be responded to. And you're competing against larger companies who have staff, 24/5 at the very least.
Yeah, they have the
And they are,
resources.
yeah, it's a resource thing. And so I saw this over and over again and actually got really frustrated about it. And so over time, after seeing it so many times, I decided it was time to put my money where my mouth was, and
You became
decided
an
that.
evangelist.
And so I said, I'm just going to build something to solve this problem. I'm just going to do it for myself and build
Oh, so you
sentient.
built this yourself. So, I mean, I know this is the tech stack for this. I was doing more research. I mean, there is so much here, with the natural language processing. You've got to have the platform that you build this on. You got your back end APIs. you got to have data storage. It just goes on and on and on. So you had the vision. So did you just, contract out the pieces that you just weren't comfortable with?
Yeah, so basically, I just decided kind of like got a high level understanding of all the pieces that needed to be put together, and then worked with an outsourced software development group, and ended up actually hiring a data scientist as well to work on a contractual basis to do kind of the more advanced data science work. So with that team, we were able to build this, pretty quickly. And it took some, kind of iterations, things like that. We started actually before ChatGPT 3 came out, so before the big AI, like everyone was like all of a sudden like, wait, AI, like the common, kind of like kind of like the average person in the U.S. or in the world, all of a sudden saw AI and saw some of the capabilities of it. But I've been familiar with kind of natural language processing, natural language generation, all that kind of stuff since. I mean, so I started in 2011, kind of getting to know this stuff. There are companies out there doing generating articles based on data from around that time. So it wasn't brand new to people who have been in the field, but I think it was the capabilities around being able to build a platform that was good enough at communicating with others. It really started around when I kind of started. The capabilities were really there. And so we started without ChatGPT 3, but then decided it was easier to kind of integrate OpenAI's different large language models and just put some guardrails around them and made it easier. Now, that also made it easier for other people to build stuff as well.
Right.
So it's a crowded space, but I think when you look at the nuances of what I'm trying to do, I try to solve my own problems first, which are pretty common problems in sales. And for anyone who's doing any sort of sales, it's just really that's what I'm solving for with Sentient.
Well,
And
you know what
so,
I think you and I have known each other for a little while. I think what you bring to the table, which is kind of interesting, is that you come out of the background of sales. So you're not like a data guy or a tech guy who's trying to pretend to understand the pains, and the challenges of sales. When you really truly have lived in a sales role, you know the kind of challenges that sales organizations have, and then you go to solve your own problem, and now you're ready to go talk to other sales leaders, and you can totally talk their language,
Mhm.
and you don't have to get down in the weeds, unless they want to. But most salespeople don't want to get too far down in the weeds. It's just how
No,
can
I think
you help us get that ROI, so much quicker. So I do have a couple questions for you though. So talk to me about just right at the phase that your chatbot, your AI powered chatbot is, which is, I assume it gets embedded on your customer's website.
Mhm.
Right now, what are the capabilities of this
Sure.
chatbot? What can it accomplish? And maybe take us up to the line of this is what it can't do yet.
Mhm. Yeah, so the main goal of it in its current form, and there's some other use cases I can talk about in a second that we're working on and delivering on. So the main use case is you have a website, you have a contact form. If you're good at what you're doing and you're driving traffic to your website, eventually someone should reach out via your contact form for more information, or they've exhausted their ability to research your product or service on their website until they go to your contact form and request to speak to somebody. What the challenge is there is that a lot of times when people are looking at different services or products, they're looking at multiple vendors. And so they reach out to usually 2 to 5 different vendors when it comes down to them trying to find the right service or product for them. And so what you want to do is you want to be the first to respond. And so I saw that as a real challenge. And what I was doing is that when we were getting inbounds, they were looking at 2 to 5 different vendors in the space. We might not be exact competitors, but we were similar, and we bring similar capabilities to the market. And what we want to do is be first to respond to that so that we can control that conversation and be one of the first that were involved in that conversation. And so what would happen though is before, if you in the world now, if you respond between 30 minutes and 6 hours, you're slow. And a
Wait,
lot of
30
times,
minutes is considered slow?
I think so. Yeah, I think most people in if it's
In
in
the
a competitive.
automated world, I mean, obviously,
in the automated world and in competitive markets, I think, if you're not responding within 5 minutes or so, it's pretty slow to me. Uh,
So the
and I think
consumer's expectation has just gotten to the point where they just want it, you know?
I think so, and I think the data shows that, right? I mean, there's different data sources that you can go and look at for response times on inbound leads, and there's a precipitous drop off after 5 minutes of your ability to get in touch with that individual. And so, what would normally happen if you're slow to respond is you're chasing that person for 2 weeks via email or phone calls, and then you finally get in touch with them, and they say, "Oh yeah, I've talked to a couple of your competitors. Let me see how it goes with them. If it doesn't work out, I'll swing back over to you." And that's not the answer you want, right? When you finally
That's
get in touch with a
they just
prospect.
broomed you. They,
Yeah, like you're now at the bottom, and so if you were first to respond, though, you would probably be one of those two or three competitors they're actively looking at. And it's funny, it happened to me in the insurance space. I was redoing my homeowner's insurance, and the provider I had like raised rates significantly, so I went out to look for some other options. And I reached out to three different brokers, like independent insurance agencies, and the first one responded in like 19 hours. The second one responded in 19 hours and 20 minutes, and the third one never responded. And so, who do you think got the business, right? I mean, like the person who responded first, right? But I was literally like, oh my god, like I'm waiting around here. It's like I started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The reaching out to people, and like you would
like
expect
late
within,
next morning, next day, you know,
yeah, you
it's
got a response, and you're like, and I'm sitting there in the afternoon, like, should I just keep looking for people, keep going to more and more and more brokers to see if I can find somebody who's actually going to respond? Like, because you never know, right? You're sitting there kind of in this black hole, wondering if the person is going to ever respond. And I think a lot of people, when they're reaching out, like they're ready to do something, right? They're
that's
ready.
how wait, I want to touch on that. That's exactly how candidates feel. Now, I know
Yeah.
you're, I know we've talked offline. I know you said you've got some solutions and some industries that kind of parallel and kind of overlap with what we're doing. But you put yourself in the shoes of a job seeker. I don't care what level you're at. When you take the time to fill an application out and send it, it would really be nice, if you got more than just a cursory BS email,
Yeah.
but actually something that was, intelligent, that could perhaps parse your resume, take a look at it, compare it to the job, and say, you do look like a pretty good fit for this. I'm going to bubble you up,
Yeah.
and let's see if we can get you in front of somebody to have a conversation. Okay, that's the kind of information that could be happening. That kind of conversation could happen right away.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know, again, how sophisticated. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but this is
Yeah.
kind of what I'm wanting to understand is just the level of sophistication that the chatbots are at right now.
Hmm.
So, uh, what do you think?
Yeah, I can go in. So what I'm doing is really the Q&A piece, information gathering and appointment booking, right? So basically you want to say, I want to gather some information about somebody who's reaching out to me, or who I want to proactively reach out to, and then I want to book an appointment, right? So on the let's take the example of the people applying for different positions, right? Where I'm seeing traction as well, totally outside of the B2B tech space or the independent insurance space, or I also work with some real estate agents with them when they're looking for inbound or responding outbound to old prospects that they've talked to or clients they've talked to. In the hiring world, particularly for what I would call kind of like higher velocity hiring jobs, like the truck drivers, the warehouse folks, the different kind of skilled labor or unskilled labor kind of work that you're trying to fill positions for. They're on Indeed most likely, or one of those kind of job sites. They pop their resume in and then nothing happens. And a lot of times they move on, right? Because they're trying to find something. And there's probably a bunch of different opportunities that fit their skill set that they're candidates for.
Well,
And so they
the
just,
further down you move on the job pyramid, the more generic or the more of them exist. So to
yeah.
your point, right? I mean, the CFO is not going to have as many opportunities as, in this case, an AP clerk, an AR clerk. There's just that many more openings. So to your
Mhm.
point, you got to be quick. You got to respond to these folks fast, or they're just going to move on
Yeah.
and take that other interview, accept the job.
And so what I'm working on with a couple folks who work in that type of role is being able to respond via text message out to the individual who just applied for the position and engage with them, ask some questions, have a bit of a conversation, let the AI have a bit of a conversation to ask some questions about their background. And, sometimes there's requirements around a clean driving record or a drug test or something along those lines that they want to make sure that the individual can pass that kind of threshold. And so let the AI have that conversation, and then book an appointment with the recruiter to have a conversation, right? So we worked with somebody, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, who had a couple of truck driver positions open. They had 100+ applicants. And the guy was kind of like, what am I going to do? Like cold call everybody? Like, I don't have like a next step to get these appointments booked quickly to talk to these folks. So I'm going to go ahead, and we took all of the names and the phone numbers that they supplied, that they gave us on their application, and text message out to each person. Let the AI handle it. And outside of that, or with that 100+ people, we got about 11 candidates who were proactively looking, ready to go, fit the criteria. And so now that individual has 11 candidates that they can work with to try to fill those positions. And that's really no effort from their side outside of uploading a spreadsheet of the names and phone numbers of each
Hmm.
individual.
So
Uh,
yeah, you mentioned though something there, the whole, uploading. Is your chatbot at a point where um, applications come in and it's able to interact with that input, or is
uh,
it
Not yet, but I mean, it's not outside of the realm of possibility, right? I mean, this is all just very easy technological things that we can go in and particularly, I mean, certain
I guess it
jobs,
depends on what your clients are, the industries that you're in, and what you need. I
what
mean,
systems they use, things like that,
yeah,
right? I mean, like Indeed is a little bit challenging to use from a perspective of just integration, but I believe they have. We're working on playing with their export capabilities
yeah.
right now. They have some kind of Zap or something they call
Well,
it
you
that.
know what? I just kind of thinking here on the fly because all my branches use Indeed, but we also have Bullhorn on the back end, and you can have your Indeed applications flow into your CRM.
Mhm.
And then maybe from your CRM, then that's an easier API
Yep.
interface back into that chatbot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a new candidate comes in, hits your CRM, it can kick out through an API call just to initiate a text message out to their cell phone and then have a conversation. So those kind of integration points are pretty simplistic at this point, unless it's
I
some
see.
really obscure custom built software application. Most of them have standardized things to make it pretty simple. So I think those types of ideas around just trying to, I'm not trying to replace recruiters or replace insurance
No, you're
agents or
just
real estate.
speeding
It's
it
more like
up.
helping them be more efficient, right? Because like these companies, you have downtime in your factory, or you're short, factory workers, you're short truck drivers, or you're short somebody, like that impacts your business, because you're trying to produce product, move product, things like that,
Supply
that's how you're
talent,
going to.
hourly basis.
Yeah, and so you need to get those jobs filled, and just trying to help those folks get those jobs, get people in the seats that are the right fit, the right candidates, and get them working, and also help individuals find jobs. Right? I mean, we've got people who want to work as well. Help them expedite their job search and work faster to get the job that they want to do, and they need income for their families too. Right? So helps
Well,
everybody.
so where's the line right now with what these chatbots
Yeah.
cannot do? Where's
It,
that?
it, it all depends on what you train. So I don't take a training approach to my. So I don't. So if you take old conversations, let's say you have 10,000 transcribed recruiter conversations of the years that you've done, and you can train your system on all of that, all those conversations, so they know exactly what to say when. I don't really take that approach because it's quite expensive to do the training component. I mean, if you're willing to pay the money, great, we can do that. What we do is we kind of do like an AI light version. We give a list of questions that we want the bot to ask and information we want the bot to gather, then let the bot have the conversation using those questions as their kind of trigger points, and make sure that that's going to get all that information, and then at the conclusion of getting all those questions asked and getting information and responses back, have a call to action at the end, right? So the call to action could be book an appointment. The call to action, if you're in a consumer world, or could be here's a coupon, for some sort of discount on a product, or it could be all sorts of different call to actions, right? So the way we do it is you have an objective, you have a list of questions that you're supposed to ask, and then you have a call to action at the end. And that seemingly works it's very simplistic and it works really well. But if you want to go down the road of heavily investing money and time, you can train systems to kind of have the conversation based on a lot of previous conversations that they've had. Also, what I've did actually for myself was I worked with very technical products. And so what I did was I trained the system on all of the product documentation, all of the use cases, all of the frequently asked questions that had proper answers to them. And so whenever I got a technical question on a product, I could just type in my question and then it would just give me back the answer and the link to where it got the information. So it just saved me hours of time researching. If you got 10 questions, let's say, that are super technical and you don't know the answers to, and you got to go find someone who knows the answer, you just type them into the system and it gives you
That's
the
a
answer.
great use. Yeah, like use it for yourself. Like that's a great way. I don't think people often think of the internal chatbot, but that's
Oh,
what
the internal,
you're.
amazing time saver, amazing. Like
I
I'm talking
love that.
about,
Tell us more about that. You kind of
yeah.
what would that look like for a company, an internal chatbot?
Oh, I mean, it's simple to set up. It takes probably, if we want to train it really well and make sure that it works properly, it's takes about a day or two, to really just kind of, if you have the right documentation. And it works great with technical companies that they've taken all their product documentation, they've standardized it, they've saved it somewhere, and then they update it. There's actually people who are responsible for updating the product documentation when a new feature comes out, when they've enhanced the product, things like that. So if you have that information, we can easily take all that information, train the system on it so that it understands, so it has the knowledge base in it, and then be able to easily create just a chat interface, just like a ChatGPT or anywhere else, but it's just internal only. It has guardrails around it. It's not going to give you answers about the weather or anything else. It's just going to answer questions on
Send
the
me
product.
Jane's social security number.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
like that
no,
kind of stuff. You can
you're not
redact
going to
all
have
that
access to
information.
the financials.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to train it, or you would definitely want to have the right guardrails in place if you are talking about sensitive information. But in the end, like where I think it's super interesting is just product documentation or your company's kind of company employee handbook type stuff. Like if you're at a big organization and you're like, I don't know how to handle some situation, but it's in the company handbook, I can just type in the question and then the system will be like, here's how you handle it
Yeah,
based on our company policies, right?
yeah, right there. That to me, I think is the a really clever way because when you think about onboarding a new person in any functional role, there could be
Mhm.
15 to 20 different resources that you want them to have and to learn. There could be videos, there could be, things on the internet that you could just load into the chatbot and I mean, honestly, it could be kind of cool if the chatbot was trained, okay, take them through these 20 points.
Yeah.
Point
I mean,
one, learn where the Google Drive is. You know, I mean, literally, like, every
it's all
company's got their
feasible.
Google Drive, and the Google Drives are very confusing the way they're
Mhm. Oh my God. The only person
branched
who knows how to do
out. I
the
mean,
Google
I
Drive
hell,
is the
I
guy who's
spent so
literally
much
set it up.
time digging around in our Google Drive. Where is that? I thought I saw that. I'm trying to think
Yeah.
of a keyword to pull it up. I love that idea. All right, I want to jump back to the sales focus. Well, just in general, I think if you're trying to add this to your process, the way I was thinking of it is I think it forces you to look at your own workflow to kind of
Mhm.
audit like what's our sales process right now because we're going to
Definitely.
be adding this element in and I think it's good to go back and look at your process because of your sales background and understanding how this chatbot works, do you assist in any way of kind of this onboarding and looking at the workflow and kind of giving those best practices?
Yeah, I do it all for them. So because I mean, it's, having a sales background, having it done for a long time, and understanding kind of the common kind of sales processes, and handoff from, let's say, what marketing's doing over to the salesperson, and the problems and the bottlenecks that occur when that happens. I do all that kind of stuff. I can help you assess kind of what your sales process is, what your handoff process is with leads, how to get marketing to work with sales, and bring that kind of bridge that gap. There's always been a little bit of a gap between the two, some friction, some delays. Someone's always pointing fingers, like, to try to alleviate all that stuff, and make a smooth process across the organization, and leverage some cool tools to do that. In terms of setup of Sentient, like, I just do it for you. I know the system inside out, so it takes me a couple minutes really to do the whole setup.
I would just think that it's a healthy exercise to go through, and look at how your processes are set
Oh
up.
yeah, because, like, I mean, what happens is a lot of organizations, people come from different backgrounds. People come from areas that, oh, this worked at the company I worked at before. This worked here. But sometimes companies are different. New taxes has kind of emerged as being better, more efficient. People get kind of stuck in kind of things that have worked, and sometimes it's just good to have a second set of pair of eyes that's totally independent. Like, don't want to steer you into anything outside of. I'd love to have you use Sentient, but I'm not going to steer you into anything else that may be good or bad for your organization. I'm just trying to find the best, most efficient way for you guys to do things.
You have to break out of the old model. I mean, I think that's the beauty of working with a third party, is they can come in and kind of break your system, if you will, meaning let's rethink. No, they may not need that, but I think it's again, it's kind of a healthy exercise to go through and
And
maybe carve out some things that aren't as necessary.
I'll add
Um,
to that also, because it's always a big thing. Like, you talked about naysayers at some point early on in our
yeah,
conversation.
early on, they just don't want any interaction
And,
with tech.
and there's definitely naysayers out there. They've been on with United's automated system, and trying, when their flight got canceled, they're trying to rebook a flight. They're trying to, do something with a hotel or whatever, Comcast, or, I'm calling out all these companies for customer service, right? But like, everyone's gotten burnt by those companies in the past, and they take that experience and put it to this new AI stuff. And yeah, like, people are trying to boil the ocean with AI right now too, and it's not working. I think that's why, when I kind of developed Sentient, it was more of like, hey, let's just solve this initial problem here, make it super easy and useful and worthwhile for people to use it. Like, I gave this to a buddy of mine who's the founder of a company, put it on his website, and within 3 hours, he had his first meeting booked, right? Just from an inbound lead. Didn't have to do anything. All of a sudden, just had a calendar invite, pop up
I
on his.
love that. That to
And
me, if you've never experienced that, there is something so empowering about just coming, opening up your Gmail or whatever, and seeing you've got three new calendar invites that you had created, the back end infrastructure, and all it's waiting for you to do is just say yes, I accept, and it populates on your. I mean, it's fantastic. It's what every salesperson wants.
definitely, and I think, when you're talking about particularly people who are eager to talk to you and just want to talk to you, they're much more willing to kind of jump through a few hoops. And when I set up Sentient, I say, listen, like, 2 to 7 questions max is kind of where you want to be. You don't want to have a 20-minute conversation here. I'm not replacing the salesperson. I'm just trying to get the person the right information for when they want to start. So they can pick up that conversation. They got on the phone with somebody. Hey, I know what you want to do. We have a transcript. I read the transcript. I know exactly what you're trying to do. Here's how we can help you. I'm going to ask you a few other questions, and then dive into kind of how our solution fits your needs. Like, that's what I want to do for the salesperson. That's what I want to do for, recruiters out there. They have a candidate who's got the criteria that matches their job, and they're just ready to have the conversation to see, get into deeper nitty gritty of what they want to do. Same thing with real estate agents, same thing with independent insurance brokers. Like, just kind of cut out that little frustrating initial part where you're trying to track down the prospect, where you're trying to get the initial information to see if they're a good fit. I was talking to a real estate company the other day. They get 1,000 leads per week, and they think that about on average 100 to 200 are quality leads. The rest are kind of just low quality. Maybe people are going
So
to
10 to
nurture.
20% for pretty
Yeah.
common.
So, but like imagine they have people following up with those 1,000 leads, trying to get, the people to have a conversation to determine if they're,
And there's probably just 4 or 5 of the same basic questions.
yeah,
And this just automatically just says, you know, boom, boom, boom. And there's a nice way to, broom them.
yeah, and you can do it, you can do it via text message, you can do it via web chat, you can do it via phone call if you want. I wouldn't recommend the voice, even though we have it integrated in our system. I just don't think it's there yet. People
Yeah.
just, again, revert back to I'm on the phone with United Airlines right now trying to get through the automated system. But text message is a great medium for kind of communication. People have super high response rates. And then if you're on the website already and you just pop open a web chat, it works on your desktop or on mobile very easily. So simple ways to communicate with people.
All right. I have my here's my final question for you, because I think this is I love the new AI. I love the automation. I love what it can do. I'm a big believer. One of our greatest innovators that we're kind of witnessing right now, you could argue one way or the other. I'd say probably Elon Musk. Big forward thinker. So I'm going to ask you to put on your Musk hat for a minute. What is the future for this technology of chatbots? What can this thing turn into? Don't tell me it's going to go to Mars, but I mean, like what can
No.
it do?
I do have confidence down the road that it's going to be quite impressive and be able to handle conversations, because what you're seeing, a couple different things. Number one, it's speed, right? So speed of response is huge, right? And when you're having a dialogue with a system, right? So you're seeing the speed increase dramatically from just what ChatGPT 3 was up to where, different versions now to what some other companies are offering. So speed is critical. The ability to kind of process the answer that, or either the question or answer that you've gotten, that the system has gotten from the individual, and then spit out a good answer. I think speed has improved dramatically. And I think that DeepSeek opened up some interesting, uh, kind of Pandora's box of, is it actually cheaper to train these systems? Can they actually develop systems at a lower cost than what it is right now? Because that's a big challenge, right? Is the training of the systems at scale can be quite expensive. So it's cost prohibitive for a lot of companies to do this well. But has DeepSeek cracked a little bit of the code? And there's a lot of people trying to figure that out, if they're legitimately did or not. There are some nuances there that make it seem like maybe they didn't. There's some other parties that think maybe they have really done something interesting. I think down the road, though, you're going to see it encompassing probably every facet of business in some form. Uh, I think that, I came into the workforce in the internet phase when the internet was just booming, right? And there was going to be no brick and mortar retail. Everything was going to be done on a wire and wireless communication on a website, all this stuff, right? And some of that's, we got, I don't know, what, 60, 70% of the
We
way
got some
there.
of that.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff. It's awesome that I sit on my phone and can do everything. I can basically run my business from my phone. I go to the mall still. Our mall's packed here in Denver. I don't know. It
Well, that's
seems to be.
because you have 12 feet of snow. What
Yeah,
else are you going
exactly.
to do? It's
But
the only place that's not covered in
yeah,
snowplow
exactly. That or everyone's
and
going
snow
skiing.
drifts.
But I guess the point is that we've gotten pretty close, right, to what we've gotten there, right? I think past 50% of what the predictions were back in 1997, 98, 99. And I think the same thing is going to happen there. Like, I think we're going to get to the point where AI is in really helping people on the healthcare side and other things, doing amazing things. Some people are going to feel the pain of that, particularly when it comes to imagery analysis and AI being able to do more and more. They can do a lot of things right now, but that's a different facet. But then the communication of what the findings are of that imagery analysis back over to a doctor or somebody else to say, you cancer, broken bones, whatever else, torn ligaments, things like that are going to be really massively impacted, and I think help people a lot. And then I think on the business side, I think communication will improve dramatically. I just don't know if we're going to be in our lifetime, maybe in our lifetime. I don't know how old you are, but I got a fair bit of time left.
We don't ever discuss age on the
Yeah,
podcast. That
but
is that's a long-standing rule we have, so we don't date ourselves.
but I will say that I think in our lifetime we're going to see a massive impact. In the next kind of, let's say, in 10 years or 20 years, like, you're going to see a massive impact of what AI is going to be doing for all sorts of different things, from hospitality. It's going to help a lot. It's going to hurt some people.
It can't hurt it. Like all
I mean,
those bad
customer
examples
service,
that
right?
you gave.
We've tried all these different ways in customer service. It's got to get better. It will get better. In the sales process, it'll get better. In just service in general, it'll get better. I can't really say like in a definitive. I don't want to be one of those people that predicts. I
It's
remember.
all right. I'm just curious. That's just kind of my cheeky. I just wanted a cheeky way to finish. I'm just trying to kind of curious of where it can go.
I'm pretty bullish on it. I think that I'm pretty bullish on the positive impacts in this world.
Oh, I think so. I think so. I mean, I'm not sure I'm ready to jump into a fully self-driving car yet. Although, aren't they coming to Denver? I think
I heard. Yes, I heard.
I thought it
that
was Denver was one of those
coming.
test markets.
I also saw the other day a video of a Waymo driving through like a pothole-ridden construction zone that I think they were trying to divert it, but it just
kept going in circles, right?
Yeah, something like that. And then
I think it got stuck on one of those roundabouts, and the guy is like calling tech support. He's like, "No, I'm in the car now. It's not stopping."
Yeah.
No, I mean, look.
The other side of that, though, is my buddy of mine has a Tesla and has like the self-driving, I guess, higher end self-driving subscription or whatever it is. And he's like, I can drive outside from New York City out to the beach and not have to touch the steering wheel the entire time. It gets a little.
Do you have to stay in the seat?
You have to sit in the seat. I think you have to do some of your eyes too. Like, you can't take your eyes off the road or something along those lines. But it.
Okay, so you're not at the point where you can like pull the book out and read, or
I don't think you're allowed to do that yet.
That's another couple iterations ahead.
5-10 years.
I want to fit. Huh?
I said 5-10 years from now, it could be.
Oh yeah.
Better.
I think so. I might be one of those slow adopters with that. I mean, I was terrified to have to help my daughter drive. I can't imagine letting go of all that control. But look, I know Elon's already said, look, this is going to be 1,000 times safer than any human.
That's the biggest
I keep
thing.
watching the videos of like it pulling out into traffic and how it diverts, and it shows you the sensors and what information is coming in. Is pretty sophisticated. All right, I'll tell you this as we wrap up here. I'm not sure if this is an Israeli startup or not, but one of the guys that I used to work with, Richard, over at Provoke Agency, does a great job. He's a growth agency to help companies grow, and he's always checking out new tech. And there's this one company called Personal.ai.
Okay.
You'll have to check that out. Apparently, it's like creating your own personal like chatbot or agent.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of learns pretty much who you are, and then it can go out and do tasks for you. I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. So the future, I mean, there's a lot of different angles that people are taking on this. Definitely. Jason, I'm super stoked to have had more time to kind of dig a little deeper into what you're doing over there at Sentient. I'm definitely pulling for you.
Thank you.
What's the best way for people to check you out? Do you have like any kind of demo or trial? What's the best way for people to kind of connect in with you?
So go to the website, sentientst.com, and you can, if you hit contact us, there's a opportunity to go right to.
We better get a pretty damn fast response. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, you'll get the immediate response. You get to test it out, see how it works. I get your contact information, then that helps me. But that's the easiest way, and then you can actually open an account right off the website too, and start playing around.
I want immediate.
Yeah, you get 10
it should be. It better be, Jason. No 19-hour delay.
No. I mean, everyone's, we all want it now, right?
We all want it now. We want it now. That's a Queen song, I believe. All right.
Cool.
Thank you, Jason. Great seeing you down here today.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.